Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Thrive in Your Life workshop. I've been very, very excited to provide this. I had a number of different types of workshops scheduled, and it was very, very interesting because there were a lot of great topics across magic and practicality and achieving goals and the whole entire gamut of life and personal improvement and personal growth. And this is a significant foray. I'm going to do one of these every single week, Sunday night. And please let me know if 7 is good for you, if a later time is good. And go over all the practical stuff. I do a lot of mystical stuff during the week and in my book and a lot of careers, but what about how to build a company? What about how to have incredible energy, great vitality, all the stuff about money and relationships, a lot about motivation and personal empowerment and just setting goals, having a great big dream of a life plan, knowing how to chop that up into projects, knowing how to divide those projects between years, quarters, months, weeks, days, hours, and just structuring your life so it can practically become what you want. The mystical stuff is all about manifestation and healing. The practical stuff is about action, is about doing the work, right? So to be fully grounded, right brain, left brain, heavens and the earth, you need this, as you know you do, from some source, doesn't have to be me, to cover the practical side of life. And then the deeper, meaningful spirituality, that's where Wizard School comes in. So all these videos will be part of another school on my site that I'm building soon. This is the first one. So it's only free for about a week via here on Facebook Live. And if you want to access it in the future, just sign up on Wizard School, and the link is in the description. So, okay, diving right into it. And if you have any questions at any time, just shoot me a PM or leave a comment on the post announcing this right before this, because you can't leave comments in a Facebook Live. But in terms of thinking about the entire spectrum of what this is about, do you thrive for more than half your day? Well, let's just define what it means to thrive, right? We have this big umbrella of positive psychology looking at motivation, happiness, inspiration, gratitude, love, just feeling good. And we have the traditional, psychology that is a pathological thing that looks at disorders, which I prefer in most people to call patterns. It's more empowering of a term, and it's really more realistic. But thriving for more than half the day means feeling how you want to feel, being as productive as you want to be, being in flow, if that's part of your definition of thriving, but just being at your best, your feeling best, your emotional best, and of course, yeah, your personal best, physical best, fitness best. So thinking, why would you be this awesome for more than a peak experience? Most of us peak maybe once a week, maybe once or twice a day, maybe once a month or two, special occasions. And some of us are in a lower spot, or have been, and we all know we don't want to go back down that spiral where we don't thrive at all. So I think if you set a really high bar, not something that might be seeming unrealistic as thriving 100% of the day, even though Yogananda, Steve Jobs' guru, wrote a book called How to Be Happy All the Time, but that's a whole other category, and if that interests you, then DM me or check out that book. Hey, I love you too. So thinking about thriving for half your day and accepting, okay, you can feel sad, lazy, angry, apathetic, unmotivated, whatever, human, unenlightened emotion you want to feel, you can choose to not feel guilt about it. But let's have at least half, maybe like 51%, so the majority of your day is thriving. And personally, if you want to kick that number up to 60 to 90, go for it. And so all the analogies I paint and all the structures I paint, use those. If 20% is more realistic than 50, take that. So how do you thrive? It's very simple, I think. There's a lot of complexity and a lot of research. We can talk about supplements and environment and positive thinking and success and fulfillment in relationships and losing the desire to achieve and being with inner peace. And all that stuff is great to end emotional reactivity and a story-focused way of view. But if you think about what thriving is it's a physiological state, right? If you're happy, you can see how that is expressed or created in part, with the rest being some woo stuff, in your neurobiology, in your neurochemistry, serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, endorphin, the great mix of all that stuff. So physiological state, why does that have to be based on maybe you getting something in life or getting recognition or having money, success, traction? Those are extrinsic motivations. So the middle step before, what I could say is, as a fellow student, entry-level enlightenment of choosing your emotions at will or being beyond emotion, is saying, how do I feel this good? How do I choose emotions at will and get myself in that state? So there's a lot of foods which you could look up, best foods for your body. You could get genetic testing, you could get metabolic microbiome testing, your saliva, your feces, your blood, get all your data, optimize your diet and your supplements based on that. That's not too hard. It takes some commitment and a week or two worth of time, really. What I'm really talking about is finding that state when you experience it, when your biochemistry is good, your life is good, the environment is good, all of that's good, and you just feel really awesome. Can you bring that state back again? Because you can find nutrition stuff and biochem stuff out there and more custom and tailored to you than I can give you here. What I can give you here is a reminder to just pick a memory, like you're casting the Patronus charm. Think of when you were thriving. Maybe close your eyes and this will help. And the best you've ever felt, go into that memory. Feel like the excitement, the aliveness in your body, the readiness, the optimism, the feeling your own inner strength. Feel good reliving that memory and putting yourself in that space. If any judgment or stories or triggers or anything come up, let them go, put them in a box. You can process them later, think about them later. Just get back to that memory, right? What we want to do is anchor this, and this is giving you the option to do some type of NLP on yourself if you want. I don't love NLP and interaction, but I love teaching it for tools of personal empowerment. So shifting into that thriving state, holding it, it might, take active focus to hold that state. Think of a trigger, something that you could do that you wouldn't normally do, that you could do anywhere, at work, anytime. I like the idea of snapping both fingers on both sides of my head because that's auditory, that's a sharp signal to your neural system. That's something you do with your hands, right? And you can do that most places in the world. If you're about to enter a meeting, do it before you go in the meeting or in the bathroom, wherever. So right now, let's get back to that memory and do your own thing or copy mine. Doesn't matter. You can always change. And we're going to snap in 3. And as I count down, think of the thriving memory. And as I snap my fingers, it flashes bright white, and you feel it all in your whole body. Okay? So go back to that memory. Really see it. Feel it, be in that space where you felt on top of the world and fully thriving. 3, 2, 1. Cool. So this is an anchor. That's a positive trigger. And if you just look at classical conditioning, usually it needs repetition to anchor a trigger. But now, this is anchored in a way to that feeling of thriving. You can also use other things like essential oils. I have this mental focus oil. It's incredible. This is like $10 on Amazon. I smell it. I throw it on tapestries, and it gets throughout the room, healthier than incense. And so you can use an oil, essential oil, to anchor in the memory as well. But just, right now, try it. Think of something that bothered you throughout the day a little bit and feel how your body might tense or react or clench by thinking of that memory that bothered you. And then go like this. And do you feel better? And if you felt even 10% better, maybe it's this placebo effect, which works even if you know it's active. And you can actually also research that in peer-reviewed, double-blinded scientific studies. So if you want to, you can research that. But now that you know in your own nervous system that doing this, or at least maybe you believe the potential could shift you 10% more to that ideal state, you can condition yourself. You can practice it, maybe rewind the video, watch it later. It'll be live free for a week, and then it'll go on my Wizard School. The link is below. Or you could download it. And when you do that exercise to anchor that memory, when you really get in that thriving state and you snap your fingers and you anchor it in, practice that, I'd say 5-6 times a week. Give yourself maybe 1 day off, 2 if it feels hard. If you want to get mastery, do it 3 times a day. This is a 1 to 2 minute exercise, 30 seconds once you get good at it, and to summon that state at will, to give you a skill of, you could say emotional fluency, you could say thriving fluency. And at some point, this will not just shift you up 10%, it'll shift you 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe even all the way there.